Yeah,
change.
you're so right. It's mind blowing that you said that, because it's like that's the type of thing that I've been just learning by doing over the years. And it's funny, I remember, and you still have this on YouTube. Like you would post these videos of you driving,
Yeah.
and do these inspirational speeches. And I remember one of my favorite videos that you've done. It was uh, I believe it was a Hollywood Has an Agenda or something of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was so humbling to hear, but it was also kind of like dang, you being in the business and saying like, listen, it's not going to always work out for you like you think, but like you just said, if you keep going, eventually you'll get there. And
Yeah.
it's funny, I'm only 25, so I'm like, okay, I want to get there like right now, like now, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how, as an actor, speaking as an aspiring actor director, how do I get that type of mindset, like to like just calm down and be like, listen, you'll get there.
Yeah, it's something my acting coach used to say. Bobby used to tell us all the time, you have to learn to be patient, impatiently patient.
Mhm.
You have to learn to be impatiently patient. And I teach that to my students as well. Because listen, you could book some, say for instance, right, you say, all right, I just want to audition. I just want to audition.
Mhm.
Okay. And you always hear people say of these actors who went on 25 or 50 or 500 auditions and before they finally got their first audition and they finally booked their first role.
Mhm.
You can say, okay, this is what I want to do, right? And now you're doing it, you're doing it, you're doing it, you're getting no, 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 no. It's not about you getting up and doing it. It's about what are you doing as you're being told no?
Mhm.
What are you doing? Like, how are you dealing with that?
Mhm.
You see, because if you're the type of person where you really don't like the word no,
Mhm.
then maybe that's not the route for you. And people would disagree. I've had interviews with Film Courage and just reading the I read comments. I read
Mhm.
comments because
Mhm.
I like to see how people think. Because I believe the more you know of yourself, the more you learn about people. And the more you learn about people, the more you know of yourself.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those things where, like, for me with music, as much as I love the music, I had to get to a point where I realized that that wasn't the way for me. I
Mhm.
had to let it go. And
Mhm.
and people say, well, that's stupid. You should never give up on your dream. No, what is my dream? My dream, like I said, is part of my agenda, which is to affect the world, which is to show the world that as a black man, I'm much more dynamic than just
Mhm.
me being a gold grill wearing thug. Yeah, I grew up in the projects, and I spent 10 years in Augusta. So look at there. So I
Mhm.
know different aspects of the world. And I went overseas and I saw how they treat us overseas. And I lived
Mhm.
in Los Angeles longer than I've been anywhere. And
Mhm.
so my perspective when I meet people is, how do they see me? Because people would be like, well, don't care about that. You should never care about how anybody sees you. No, you should,
Mhm.
because that opens and closes doors and opportunities.
Mhm.
So if I present myself a certain way, as a man who had to learn a lot about myself, when I go into a business meeting, I want to bring the best business plan. I want to knock people's socks off. I want to do what it takes to make them be able to say yes rather than to say no. Thus goes back to auditioning. If I'm going in and I'm being told no, 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 even though I know I'm bringing my best, when if I'm not good with the word no, I got to make an adjustment. I
Mhm.
have to do something.
Mhm.
You see, I have to
Mhm.
understand what it is about the situation that is not getting me closer to my objective. So
Mhm.
it's not so much what you're doing the work, right? Okay,
Mhm.
as an actor, you're going in, you're auditioning. It's
Mhm.
what you're doing in between the no's, man.
Mhm.
Because the no's, depending on who you are, as you're learning who you are, right? That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Learning to be patiently impatient as you're doing this and you're saying, I want it now. Well, what's stopping you from getting it now?
That's so true. Oh my God, it's so
You
true.
see, is it
Mhm.
is it is it that you're wasting your time going into these rooms and hearing no is depleting you constantly and you're not a no person?
Mhm.
Or are you building resilience? And are you taking constructive criticism? Because a lot of times you can go on an audition and they'll be like, thanks for coming in. And they're not telling you whether you did a great job or not. You see,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I've learned about being a great actor is don't nobody got to tell you you're a great actor when you get there.
That's so good.
You can't tell Denzel Washington he's not a great actor. You cannot tell Viola Davis she is not a great actor. You can't tell Meryl Streep she's not a great actor. You can't tell them that they're not great. They know that they're great. Now, they may have doubts about certain things. Can I do this role? Do I love this role enough to give all what the role needs? But you can't tell them that they're not great. You can't tell Tom Hanks he's not a great actor. They're on a different level. You can't tell, you can't tell Steven Spielberg he's not a great director. Even if he's had flops, you can't tell him that. You can't tell Ron Howard he's not a great director. You can't tell, say Antoine Fuqua he's not a great director. They're great directors. And the young directors that are coming up, you can't tell them that they're not great. I mean, look what Ryan Coogler did. How do you go from that? You can't go back to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you can't go up to Ryan Coogler like, you're a horrible director. He'll laugh at you. He'll laugh at you.
Yeah.
And he'll have to just take it and walk off because it's like, how do you tell? See, but that's what I'm saying, Alex. As you're auditioning and as you're doing what you're doing, if you're striving during that time of being impatient, it's nothing wrong with being impatient and wanting it now. But as you're striving and you're growing, building your empire, because it's your empire, and don't nobody care about your empire because they got their own empire. Don't nobody, trust me, everybody want to be part of Rock Nation, but they wish they could run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's why they want to be a part of it. You see? But no one can tell you how to run your empire. They don't care about your empire. But as you're building it, you have to strive to be the best that you can possibly be. And that's what changed it for me. I call it insight. You have to have insight. Like things that I did on Brotherly Love, would I do them again? No, there's probably better things. But at that time, it was what it needed to be. Were there awards that I felt it should have won and festivals it should have been in? Absolutely. But at that time, it did what it was supposed to do. So there's a point where you have to realize why are you doing what you're doing? What's the purpose? So everything that you'll do, every role you'll book as an actor, every product you'll create as a content creator, every film will have a mission and a reason for why it's what it is. You see?
Man, like, yo, I almost started crying because I was like, yo, this is like biblical truth. And man, like, yo, you are absolutely right. But there's another question I wanted to ask you. I know, like, I remember like it was clear as day. It was like around maybe 2015 or 16. I can't remember. I remember the CW had just announced that they were developing a Black Lightning series.
Yeah.
And I thought for like the longest time, I thought that your movie, Black Lightning Tobias Revenge, was the series.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah. So it's funny, like I remember I saw it on Facebook and I was like, nah, this is not, because the headline said basically CW's developing a Black TV series because of Luke Cage. I'm like, yeah, that's possibly true, whatever. So I typed in Black Lightning TV series on YouTube, and your trailer for the film popped up. And I don't know if your movie had came out around then, but your trailer popped up, and I was like sucked in. I was like, yo, when is this movie coming out? And then I found your website, and then I found you on Twitter, and I started following you. And so I remember when it came out, it was in 2 parts. And I remember watching the first part when it came out and the second part when it came out. Yep, Choice, I have to say, man, like what you did in that film, like to this day, like I watched it last night. Like it's such a dope iteration and a truthful iteration to the character. Not crapping on the show, because I like the show too.
not at all. Right. Yeah, not at all.
I like the show, but what you did, like the one thing I love the most, because I saw like I'm talking to you now and I see how you talk to your students just from the videos I've seen. In the movie, the way you're talking to Virgil and the rest of your students, it's like you were playing yourself, but at that time I didn't even know who you were 100%. And I was just like, even talking to you now, I'm like, yo, like you are that person. Like that is you, you know? And when I saw the second part with the fighting and the
Yeah.
special effects. I have to ask you, man, like first, I wanted to ask you, how did this story come about? And
Right.
also, I just want to know, how did you get all your actors on board of telling this amazing film?
Well, listen, like I said, we had just finished, like we spent months working on my second feature, which is Keep the Faith. It's a Christian film that I literally is right on the computer right now, and every day, I'm working on pieces of it to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a screening for that, and then we realized we needed money to complete it at that time because the technology for a lot of the special effects that's in this feature, um, it just wasn't acceptable. Like James in Black, he plays Static in Black Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
He did all pretty much, I would say 85, if not 90% of the effects in Black Lightning, Tobias's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So he and I had built a camaraderie together. I'm very untrusting of people in regards to the work because I know that everybody doesn't see the objective the same way. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, talking about the empire, your empire, no one's going to see your empire the way you see your empire. So it's the same thing with work. And as a director and as a filmmaker, I always say, listen, if they can't do it better than me, then what's the point? I might as well do it. So it's very tough for me to let people into work. But James was one of those people that when I would work with him, he would always even top what I did, whether it was graphic design, special effects and stuff. So we got together and we were like, well, listen, we need to do something. You know what I mean? We were exhausted from Keep the Faith. Like, I mean, we literally didn't get a DCP completed to do the screening. We had to use a high-res MP4 at the screen at ArcLight. We didn't get no sleep that night before. If you look at pictures of us at the premiere, we were just exhausted. And here we're talking about going into another project because we needed to get about 20 grand to finish Keep the Faith. So we're like, but we should do something else to bring attention to us. So at that point, it was a lot of comic book stuff happening. And still, for Black people, there wasn't that much, like even though Luke Cage had hit, we kind of came up with the idea of Black Lightning before Luke Cage. I knew as a filmmaker and as an actor, I couldn't pull off Luke Cage. I was like, and I said, I want to do someone obscure. So at that time, James and I was talking. He says, all right, well, figure out what you want to do and we'll get together and work on it. I said, okay. So I scoured the net and looked up Black superheroes. Now, mind you, I grew up reading comic books. Like, I'm a comic fanatic. I own well over 1,000 back in Georgia. My mom got them and they're safe. But there were some DC properties that I didn't know of. I knew of Black Lightning, but I always knew of him as Black Vulcan. Because there was that copyright thing with DC and the owners. And so when I looked it up, I said, oh man, wait a minute, Black Lightning. I said, man, nobody's done him. Nobody's talking about him. And I said, he was one of the first original Black superheroes. I'm like, and it's always that thing as a filmmaker is like, what can I do? Because we gotta, if we do this, we're gonna have to think about special effects and wardrobe and money, and it's like we ain't got no money, but I know we can shoot it. I'll shoot it on the camera. You know what I mean? I'll shoot it. I know I can do that. And my student Chase, he's I built him up to be a cameraman, so he knows what to do. So we got our crew, but how do we get this done? We got to get wardrobe, and I want to incorporate my actors to the best of my ability. So I was like, Black Lightning. I said, yeah, man, let's do him. So then I told James, I said, Black Lightning, James. And James was like, okay, cool. And then I said, but you know what? I was like, you need to be Static, right? He was like, what? I was like, yeah, you need to be Static. You got the dreads. James is a martial artist. He's got capoeira experience. He's a good-looking kid. He's a great actor. I coached him. And I said, yeah, you could pull it off. I said, because you know what? People think Black Lightning and Static are the same. They think that Static grew into Black Lightning.
Yeah, that's such a misconception.
Right. And so I said, let's dispel that misconception. And I said, let's stay true to the comic, And then I said, well, we got all these other actors. We want to incorporate them. So like with Sachiko Ashita, we were like, we're going to bring in a Japanese character, but let's not bring in the one that everybody knows. Let's bring in one that is unsung. So Lady Shiva came out of that. And then Jay Hunter, we was like, we got to put him in. So it was a thing of all the actors we wanted to put in, we had to find the roles that would fit them. So that's how we got into a lot of the other characters from the Milestone. You see? And so we said, okay, we got to make this work out a way to where it makes sense. How do you bring these two universes together? Because listen, Black Lightning and Static have shared the screen and comic books together. They, you know, people don't know that, and it's like, they, you know, people always go, oh, don't bring them together because it wouldn't make sense. It's like, no, they've appeared. We actually took a storyline from one of the comics where they appeared together. And they fought Holocaust. So it was already there. And so we was like, all right, well, let's do that. Let's bring in, you know, some of the characters, you know, because we had you know, a lot of the actors who were of color. We wanted to show them love because when am I going to be picked as a DC actor or a Marvel actor? You know, when is that going to happen for me? You know what I mean? And I'm getting older, so it's like I would love to play a superhero. No. And so that's how it came into birth. We wrote the script in 2 months, and we went right into production. Like, we shot the first scene, which was the news reporter scene. We shot that in green screen at the acting studio, and then we shot as we could. We had money. You know, all the actors got their own wardrobe, and they all took it serious. They all got their own wardrobe. We had a serious issue with the Black Lightning outfit. We had somebody we commissioned, paid them a shitload of money, and they made something that wasn't going to last through the fight scene. So,
wow,
James, yeah, it would have disintegrated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's actually in the scene when you go to the Peter Gamby room. In the background, that's the suit. So we said, let's just use it for that decoration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it would have fell to pieces. It wouldn't have lasted. I mean, look at all that. So we got a suit, and James modified it, and he made it, and Miss Joan, his mom, got it sold and made it look what it looked like. And we won awards for that suit, like best costume. You know, it was like, wow. So everything happens for a reason. And so as we were finishing up the shoot, the announcement came. CW. And people would hit me up. They were like, yo, like, you didn't tell me you was gonna. I was like, that's not us, man. I'm like, that's not us. Like, you know, I thank you for the compliment, but it's not us. And so we had a publicist who, she was like, listen, if this thing comes out before your thing, you guys are gonna fall by the wayside. She said, you have to get this thing out before them. And so we were we were half through, and that's why we made it 2 parts, because we were halfway through. Like, CGI, it was 3 of us, dude, and really just James mostly, because he was using natural elements. Like, he wasn't creating elements and rotowing and just all. If you know anything about VFX, it was a nightmare. It took 2 years to complete the VFX.
Wow.
And we would do something, I would do something, or Chase would do something, and James would go and come and say, hey, I hope you guys don't mind, but I fixed this and I made this. And I was like, look, I don't care as long as it looks great and it looks better than what I've done. And that's who he is. And so it got to a point where the effects blew us away. Even our colorist, he was like, yo, this is better than CW and all these other TV shows. We just outdid ourselves, Alex. And it was a thing of, we held ourselves to a higher standard. We felt like, listen, we don't have money and we don't have what everybody else have. I mean, you look at the average film of a VFX project. How many names? 400, 500? There was 3 of us.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God. My God. You know, it's funny that you say that, because it's like the color palette in that movie, from that first scene where we see that guy get tortured. I was like, yo, I was like dialed in. And then and again, this is not to crap on what's out there, because I do like the Black Lightning TV show. But I have to say, the way you guys use their powers in this particular film, I was like, yo, like that scene where you like you go into a pipeline, you turn into electricity and go
Yeah.
into a pipeline. Like, yo, like that was amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then to see Static fight
Holocaust. Yeah.
yeah, Holocaust, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
like that was like this. I was like, this is comic. So, and I wanted to ask you because I know you probably had this question before,
Okay.
but did you ever try pitching what you guys did to like Warner Brothers or CW or any of those entities? Because, like I said, when that story came out and then I saw what you guys were doing, I thought it was one and the same. And then
Yeah.
clearly, like, I don't think Warner Brothers would ever announce something, then put it online as a fan film versus their actual
Yeah.
studio. So, have
Yeah.
you ever thought about pitching that to like a major studio of any kind?
Well, I think honestly they did that with Mortal Kombat. Like Mortal Kombat,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that directed Fame, they used Mortal Kombat when they made a web series of it when web series weren't popular,
Mm-hmm.
and they did something like that. They said let's test the water because they're always going back and forth with Mortal Kombat because it's such a great franchise. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that you got to have the right energy in which to make it work. And so they did do something like that. They gave him a certain amount of budget and he made some, I think he made like 2 seasons. The second season was horrible, but the first season
Mm-hmm.
was great.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him more money on the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we had people who knew people in Warner Brothers. Listen, our main fear was like, just don't shut us down. That just happened recently with a guy who did a Star Wars Vader film.
Yeah,
And,
I heard about that.
Yeah, man, and that's fearful. Listen, I never did the project to make money. Because I understand IP. I don't own the IP. We don't have the right to the IP. I mean, we've had a lot of people want to put Black Lightning on cable networks and stuff like that. It's like we can't. We don't own the IP. So that was never the intention. The intention was to get people to be able to work who would never work on characters like that. First off, myself as playing a superhero, and to have it as a real piece for me as a director to show that I can do action and I can do special effects and VFX. We've had people who knew people in Warner Brothers and DC and stuff. We've never had anybody bite. I may have had one meeting after that with some people from a comic book company who were venturing into film. Listen, if someone came to me today and said, hey, we'd hire you to direct the Black Lightning feature or the Static feature or whatever feature. If the budget is right, I jump on it. I mean, it's like, how can you not do it right? In my opinion. But no, to answer your question, did I ever pitch it? I mean, how do I pitch it to anybody? They already have to, unless it came up as a thing of, hey, they're looking for a director for this project or that project, then yeah. But I haven't gotten anybody bite or anybody ask about it, or I've had people look at it and go, oh my God, that's amazing. How much did you do that for? What, really? And then that was it. But listen, I think it took a lot for Ryan Coogler to come back for Black Panther. I think it took a lot because I like watching his interviews and him saying it was a lot. It was a lot of hard work. I think it took a lot because when you're working on a project like that, that's 2 to 3 years, if not 4 years of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're not even talking about it's been almost 1.5 to 2 years of them just working the press.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, he couldn't do Creed 2 because of everything that's going on with Black Panther.
That's
a lot of time out your life. So listen, if the budget is right and I have the creative control that's needed, I'm definitely on board. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think it falls into, it's a team effort, and sometimes, I was looking forward to Rick Fumiakwa, I think his name is, to doing the Flash, and that didn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like for us to be able to do what we did with Black Lightning, Tobias's Revenge, we didn't have to answer to anybody but ourselves. And I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get. I get it because it's funny. It's funny that you say that. Like I've heard of like I've been fortunate to talk to some people like in Atlanta who've worked on movies and they know some insider stuff about why people left projects and the reason why things are not done in a certain way. It's solely because of that creative control. Like how much are you going to allow me to use my creative juices? I don't care that you're using oversight, but how much oversight are you overseeing my project? Because a good example of that is the recent Fantastic Four movie that came out. That is
Yeah.
nothing but studio
Yeah.
oversight. And the
Yeah.
things that we saw in trailers were not in the movie at
Yeah.
all. So I
Yeah.
get it. So I get it like from a creative standpoint. If I'm making movies and making these projects, I want to be, like I want to have creative control. And I'm glad that you guys got a chance to do Black Lightning. In many ways, that inspired me to do Static because I've been watching
Yeah.
Static since I was like 10 when it came out.
Yeah.
And Choice, I wanted to ask you this. I remember you guys teased this on Instagram like a couple years back that you may eventually at some point do a Static film with James. Is that true, or can we see that in the near future?
Listen, right now, David Kirkman is kicking ass on his campaign. Like
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
a strong feeling it'll happen for him. Like listen, if for me, with what I learned from Black Lightning, and I tell this to any young filmmaker, because giving birth to a project is like giving birth, literally, and
Yes.
that's your baby.
Yes.
It's a lot of work.
Mhm.
You're gonna lose sleep. Your health is affected.
Mhm.
I haven't had one project except for A Second Thought,
Mhm.
or If You Only Knew, and these were really short vignette films where I haven't had health problems. I mean, on Keep the Faith, I almost died of pneumonia.
Mhm. Mhm.
Black Lightning, Tobias's Revenge, I developed diverticulitis. And
Oh my
so it's
God.
like it's very stressful.
Mhm.
And what people don't understand is when you have, and that's what I was saying, when Ryan Coogler, I remember when they said, "You coming back for the second?" And he was like, and that's why it took so long for
Yeah.
them to announce the second one, because it was like, well, listen, we want to make the second one, we want to greenlight it, but how are we going to do this without Ryan?
Mhm.
So for me, it's a thing of like, the budget has to be right. Like
Mhm.
I like my next film project has to be over $1 million, and that's
Mhm.
a horror film that I'm working on, and it
Mhm.
it has to, because I need the team that's going to help keep me up.
Mhm.
So with Static, you're talking about tons. Like, you made a film about Static because of how he affected you and
Mhm.
what he means to you.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about the it has to be proper casting. It has to be made a certain way. Like, you can't, like, I don't know. I mean, Black Lightning is one thing, but Static.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know that if the pieces were right, yeah, I would be down, definitely.
Mhm.
But I mean, the only way, if James was involved, then I'd do it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't do it, honestly, because it's just too many things that goes into that.
Oh yeah.
You definitely got to have young blood on that. You have to have people who love Static, as like they walk around with the shirts, they have the posters, they remember every episode. You can't go in being arrogant, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna bring something new to the table."
Right.
No, we stayed, like, even with the logo, like, because when we created the costume, that costume is based on Static's costume. Like,
Mhm.
that was the first costume to be done
Mhm.
before Black Lightning's costume was done in ours. James went and put it together. Like, I
Mhm.
was blown away. He sent me a little snapshot. I was like, oh my God, like, we're in
Mhm.
trouble, because how's Black Lightning's outfit gonna be better than this? you know, he put it
Right.
together and he did a phenomenal job. And it was like, okay, the only thing that after he did it was the logo, and that was done, and that was it.
Mhm.
Because it was a question of like, should we have the logo? I'm like, you gotta have the logo. Like,
Mhm.
that's what makes Static Shock. So,
Mhm.
and to get the creator of the comic to give us the thumbs up, that was great.
Mm.
That was because we knew, one of my martial arts students is close friends with the creator of the comic.
Mhm.
And so when he gave us a thumbs up, we were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like, he loved it.
Mhm.
It wasn't the same thing on the Black Lightning end.
Mhm.
Tony Isabella wasn't so kind, but
Mhm.
he was kind. He was very kind and very supportive, and he was blown away by what we did.
Mhm.
So it was a thing of there was many things that had to be done right,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and we stayed very close to the comic. We didn't,
Mhm.
you know, and that's how we got the storyline to merge. You know, their
Mhm.
school, you know, something happened to their school, and
Mhm.
Dakota City got, you know, their school got destroyed, so they had to come over to, you know, Suicide Slums and come to that school for a while. They had to get bussed in. So
Mhm.
in just one line, we were able to connect the universes.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube page to get more exclusive content coming from my YouTube channel. And if you want to watch my previous videos, go ahead and click on this video up here or this video down here, where you get to see more exclusive content coming from my channel. Thank you guys for watching this video, and you guys have a blessed day.